Hi, and welcome to this week's video. So this week I have a very special guest here with me, my puppy Harley. But this video is not going to be about Harley. This video is actually going to be about drinking liquid nutrition, and I am absolutely not talking about tequila. So what I am talking about is chlorophyll and grasses like wheatgrass or barley grass. And I'm just going to explain some of the reasons why it's important to get into liquid nutrition. So when I first heard about wheatgrass and things like chlorophyll, I just thought this would have been back in my early 20s. I just thought it was really weird, hippy dippy shit to be doing and putting into your body. But now that I've studied nutrition a lot more and understand what goes on in the body at a cellular level, I do think that there's a place in our diet to have chlorophyll or barley or those types of things every single day, in addition to eating whole plant foods. Now, unfortunately, most of the nutrition that we're getting from like if you go to the grocery store and you go to the produce section, even if you're going to the organic produce section and you're buying whatever they have there, it has so few actual nutrients. And the reason is that even if you're doing your best to buy organic produce, the produce that's in the produce aisle was probably picked 7 or 10 days ago, right? So each day that a plant is no longer in the soil, no longer getting the sun or receiving sustenance, it's losing its nutrient density. So by the time you go and you say buy a head of broccoli, it's probably been there 7 to 10 days, and you bring it home, maybe it sits in your fridge for a few more days, then finally you use it, and the nutrition that you're getting from that broccoli is probably 10% of whatever it was when that broccoli was first picked. So you're losing 90% of the nutrients just in transit. And that's just the way that our food system is set up. I've had many people say to me that when they plant a garden, the food that they get from their garden tastes really differently than the food that they're buying at the grocery store. And what they're tasting is the quality of nutrition, right? Because when you have a garden in your backyard, you're going there, you're picking it fresh, you're using it that day or the next day. So it's not, you know, spending days in transit being exposed to who knows what. Because here's the other thing, even with organic produce, once organic produce is picked and it goes out into the world, it gets out on a truck, it's being transported from point A to point B to point C, then finally the grocery store, finally your house. It's being exposed to chemicals all along the way, because even though we don't see them, our whole environment is composed of chemicals. Because, you know, if you think about the fact that when you're driving, all the gasoline that gets burned, those are chemicals that go into the air. Whatever other toxins might be present in the atmosphere. When you have a grocery store situation, there's other produce, and whatever chemicals might be on that produce, especially if it's conventionally grown. So these are all things that none of us really think about. And so therefore we get in the habit of thinking, well, I go to the grocery store, I get my food and my produce or whatever it is, and you come home and you cook it and you eat it, and you think that's giving you all the nutrition that you need, when in reality it's giving you a fraction of the nutrition that you need. And this is why I really love loading up on things like chlorophyll, barley grass. Those are some of the juices that I have every single day. And the difference is that when I'm having the chlorophyll or that barley grass, that they are powdered, they are turned into powder right at the farm. They are organic, non-GMO, there's no preservatives, there's no additives, there's no chemicals. But because they're picked and they're powdered right away, they are at their highest nutrient density. And then I get them right from the farm, pretty much. And well, they have to be transported, but because they are not in a liquid form, or they're not in a a plant form, they're not losing their nutrition day by day by day. So it stays in the powdered form, and then I, put a teaspoon in water and I stir it up and I have it, and I'm having that liquid nutrition at its most nutrient dense. Now, the other cool thing about having things like barley grass, wheatgrass, or chlorophyll is that not only is it great in terms of helping with your pH balance, helping to detoxify your body, helping to support healthy cells in your body, but the really cool thing is that because it's in the form of liquid nutrition, it totally bypasses your stomach and your digestive system, and it's going straight into your cells. Because that's the other thing, is that when we're eating food and it's in our stomach or it goes into our digestive tract, there's not the same amount of nutrients that get absorbed by our body. So we're living under a very huge myth and misconception that when we're getting our food from the grocery store and we're eating whatever produce that we're eating, that we're getting 100% of the nutrients from that produce. We're not. We're getting a tiny, tiny fraction. So this is where it's super cool that if you start to do liquid nutrition in the form of chlorophyll or barley grass or wheatgrass, or I do a power shake every day as well. That's the equivalent of having 6 servings of vegetables per day, which is pretty cool. So the great thing about switching some of my diet over to liquid nutrition is that I'm actually putting more nutrient density into my body instead of relying on food. And so it took me a little bit to actually really understand this, because all of us were so conditioned to think that we're getting nutrients from food. When one really looks at the food supply and looks at how long it takes, say an apple from the point that it's picked to the time that it actually comes to your home, and maybe it's sitting on the counter or is sitting in the fridge, how long it actually takes you to eat that apple. Every single day that apple is losing its nutrient content. It's losing its nutrient power. And this is what makes having liquid nutrition at your fingertips so much more powerful. And it's a great way to bring more nutrient density into your body. And so this is something I encourage you to get into. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. If you think that this video might help someone, please share it. You can subscribe to my weekly newsletter. Make sure that you have my free ebook and you've read through it. Apply some of those things that I'm sharing in the ebook, because they're super helpful in terms of helping to not only get your body healthy, but also your mind healthy. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.